Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be going over me finally building the bomb squad featuring War Mother and Lord Shazar. I'm going to kind of dive into theory crafting the arena team, how viable it is in dungeons and all of that, kind of showing it in action and talking about if it was worth it or not and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first, as we dive into the champions here, War Mother was actually the first legendary I ever got in Raid. I kind of put her in the vault, left her as a 5-star for the longest time, never really wanted to invest in building a bomb team because, you know, it scales with attack, it doesn't scale with like defense and HP, and bombs are typically better in a more sustained battle. So it can be a little bit tough to get it to work, you know, because you got to get really high attack, and then you got to also like have a sustained fight long enough to get the bombs to detonate and go off and all that. And kind of the consensus was that it's not worth investing in, so I never really did, but I thought it would be fun to kind of, you know, finally build the bomb squad and see how viable it is and all that. So the first thing I'll do is kind of show you in the arena the thought process. We'll find kind of a normal team we would go against. Now, you want to avoid, if you're using Roshard, you want to avoid people that do, like, AoE buff strips. So, Saris and Ray are kind of two big ones that you're going to be worried about. So, let's find Saris there, and we got, like, this one here would be a good one to showcase it. So, we have the speed aura for Arbiter and Shazar, but obviously Shazar has the best arena speed aura in the game at 32%, Arbiter's is 30%, so we might as well put Shazar as the leader to get the extra 2%. Now, I believe a good route to go in terms of speed farming Gold 4 is to go the speed route, so that's what I've always been a fan of, is speed, nuke teams, and I did play a defensive style for a little bit to kind of get some experience doing that, but I definitely prefer the speed route. So we're going with the speed aura of Shazar, the turn meter boosting of Arbiter. Arbiter's also going to boost attack. Shazar can actually boost his own attack, but with the War Mother does not, and bombs scale with attack. So we're gonna be boosting up our Shazar and our War Mother. Their bombs are gonna hit super hard because of the Arbiter boosting the attack. Then we need like a turn or two for the bombs to go off, and that's why Roshard comes into the back end of the rotation, places the block damage debuff, and it gives me time to survive long enough for those bombs to blow the other team into oblivion. And I'll kind of show you it in action here on auto. So we got Arbiter boosting up, then Shazar is going to place a bunch of bombs, and look at that. Now, with War Mother, if we've got a bunch of bombs like this, we can go the A3 route and detonate them. Or if we didn't place a bunch of bombs, we can go this route and do the AoE bomb placement and then detonate them the next turn. So with that many bombs placed, I think it's a good route to go ahead and detonate them. And boom, look how hard they hit. We can just smash the enemy team down pretty easily. If I didn't place a lot, then I would go ahead and see if we can find like a tougher one here. Oh, and they're actually using a bomb. Look at that. That might be a fun one to go up against. Alright, so we beat them in speed. We placed the bombs, and you can see the bombs already going off on the Arbiter there. Now, let's see what they do on auto. Yeah, on auto, she's gonna go ahead and detonate them, and then they're too devastated to come back from this. So he's gonna come in, protect when he didn't even need to, and that's why you need to avoid, be scared of people like Saris. If you're using Roshard, you can see she removed all the buffs, the zone of protection and everything. The Roshard's basically bringing zero utility if a Saris comes from behind and just strips all of the buffs off. So you have to be wary of that if you're building a team like this. But yeah, I'll show you a couple more here. Now War Mother's AI can be a little wonky. It's kind of a turnoff on her. I've noticed just from playing her in the arena, like sometimes there'll be a situation like this where there's 4 enemies, bombs on them and everything, and she'll just like run up and do her A1. She'll run up and do like a melee attack. It's rare, but it happens. And then sometimes she doesn't make the right decision on if she should place more bombs or detonate them. So working with War Mother's AI can be a little bit wonky. In a situation like this, I'm going to get my Roshard to block the damage. So I would do the AoE bomb placement and look at how many bombs are there. There's no way they're surviving this the next turn. We block damage. Our Arbiter actually goes again, and there he blows up from the bombs. Shazar's going to run in. His A1 animation is painful. It's one of the slowest in the game. He runs forward. I mean, it's painfully slow. Now War Mother, we can come through and look at this. There's no way they're going to survive all these bombs. Pop, pop, and dead. So, yeah, it's pretty fun. The only problem is the auto calculation doesn't always work super optimal. You can see here, like I'll let a couple run on auto, and we'll see kind of what happens here. So Shazar's going to play. Shazar's fine on auto. And War Mother, she did the AoE attack, and she saved the detonation. You know, that wasn't a horrible choice there. And there we get the painful melee attack. See there, she attacked all enemies and detonated, but didn't detonate anything. So getting it to work on auto and bring consistent max value out of War Mother can be a little bit weird and a little bit unreliable. So, but the team is definitely powerful, especially if you manual them. You can get a lot of value, and you can just decimate teams all the way up in Gold 4 in any sort of a setup. In a defensive setup, Shazar can be very good. I think Shazar is a little bit better in the arena compared to War Mother, but I wanted to go all in and go the double bomb squad and kind of see what I could do with it. In terms of like dungeons, it's gonna be a bomb squad like this is gonna be fine. I'll show you in the Minotaur. So Minotaur teams are typically 4 people, and then you have your 5th person that you're farming up scrolls for in the last slot. So it takes like 35-40 seconds here. You've got a bunch of AoE damage, but it's like so overkill. Like in the end game, when you're doing like a stage 15 dungeon on the trash mobs here, it's having all those bombs. It's just massive overkill. So I think it's definitely best in the arena where overkill's fine. You just smash them and you're done. And you're on to the next fight. Something like this, it can be handy. It can work. Is it worth building and 6-starring and legendary books and all that? In terms of like dungeon farming, I don't really think so. But it is pretty good in the arena. Because like, I mean, I could do way better than this. By like not going the bomb route. You can see there that the Zavia is by far the MVP in terms of being able to speed farm, and she's so much better in like a dungeon setup as opposed to the bomb setup. But I do think in general Shazar performs a little bit better, and I would kind of place him above War Mother like in a tier list scenario in terms of having general utility, and the 32% speed aura is amazing for the arena. In terms of the other dungeons, I mean, it can be decent in the Golem. The only problem is you need to bring a Reviver, because in the second wave where they have reflect damage, you're just gonna get your damage dealers are just gonna get nuked down. So you gotta have a Reviver if you're gonna use like a bomb squad damage dealing type setup in the Golem. It's not gonna be good in the Fire Knight. It's not gonna be super good in the Spider. In the Dragon, I could see it being okay, but not optimal. I think it's best in like the Minotaur or the Potion Keeps, and by far the best utility is the arena. It's not going to be consistent enough or hit hard enough to be good in the clan boss. Arena is definitely where it shines, and I'll show you kind of how I built all the champions. First is obviously Arbiter. I've got her kind of set up here, 311 speed. She doesn't, anything over 300 is fine for Gold 4. If I were going to want to push up into Platinum, I would want to get her speed up to like 330, 340, but the incentive just isn't there for me to do that. So anything over 300, and we're good on Arbiter, and she goes first, buffs up the attack of the Shazar and the War Mother. The War Mother needs it more than the Shazar, because he kind of has self-buffing that grants an extra turn. As you will see here, when I pull up Shazar, he's got this ability here where, yeah, place a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. This buff cannot be removed, and then block debuffs buff and grants extra turns. So he can buff his own bombs, and while I'm on the subject of buffing your bombs, it's worth noting that they don't scale with crit damage. So you're gonna typically want attack gloves, but the tough part is they have abilities where they need to crit. So you'll see here Cruel Fate. It's going to decrease the duration by 1 turn if critical, which is pretty important. It comes in really handy, especially in terms of like speed farming the arena. It's probably not mandatory, so if you wanted to go like a budget bomb team, I would go with the attack and not worry about getting the crit, and then just you know, kind of build yourself defensive enough for the bombs to go off. But having the crit definitely helps. And so yeah, we're getting him with really good attack. You can see that he's got the 4,500 attack. Anything over 4,000, and those bombs are gonna hit really, really hard in the arena. The bombs ignore defense. They don't scale with crit, and their damage is kind of multiplied based off of attack. So you really want to get high attack, but they do have abilities, like I said, where crit is handy, so I got him up to 99%. I seem to always build champions that come out at 99%, which is just awful. Like my Sir Nick is 99%, and there's just not a good option for me to like get that 100 without losing significant other stuff. So for some reason, I just always build champions that come out at 99, and it's super annoying, and it drives me nuts. But yeah, Shazar was the same way. But then next in the rotation is going to be War Mother. I didn't spend books on her because the books aren't as good. Like on Shazar, I did spend a few because the Cruel Fate gets the buff chance, so it goes from 75 to 100, and so the books on his on Shazar are really impactful, especially getting them on the Cruel Fate here. His A1 hits decently hard. I got really lucky on the books and didn't buff this damage at all, but his A1 actually does a decent amount of damage. You can see here it gets buffed by decrease or by debuffs on the target, and that's probably why it seems to hit a lot harder than War Mother's. But yeah, going back to War Mother here, I didn't spend the books on her because she already has the 100% you know, placement. They already hit plenty hard enough to roll through Gold 4 Arena. As long as you can get the good attack on her. I'll show you the total stats here. See, her attack is not her attack gear is not quite as good as the Shazar. So you know, I haven't scaled her up there yet, but she does have the 100% crit rate because she also has the ability here, attack all enemies and instantly detonate all bombs if critical. That's why you want her going after the Shazar. So if you place a bunch of bombs, you have the option of detonating them all. Because I have her with 100% crit, she's going to crit, detonate them, and that's why she goes second in the rotation, or well, third after the Arbiter and Shazar. And then I have the choice, do I detonate them or do I place more and then have Roshard come from behind and block damage for 2 turns so that we can let them go off and kind of blow up the arena. Her A1's actually pretty decent. It's a multi-hitter that places the big version of decrease attack, which is not bad. There's definitely worse A1s than that. That's a pretty decent A1. The Aura is accuracy and faction crypts, which is not super useful. You know, you're not going to use her for that. You're using her for the bomb and the detonation utility. And then you know, but the gear, you can see here, you know, oh, and I should talk about the masteries on War Mother and Shazar. I went with, like, so much of their utility comes from those bombs landing. You got to get those bombs to land. So I went with the accuracy mastery on both of them and got their accuracy up over, you know, 360 on War Mother. And where is Shazar? He is right here. Yeah, 333. Anything over 300 is going to be plenty for Gold 4. If you were trying to do this up in Platinum, you would need like 450 or 500 accuracy. The resistances can stack pretty crazy when you get up towards like Platinum and the very like outskirts of Platinum. But for speed farming Gold 4, which is what I think is the most optimal account management decision in terms of progressing your Great Hall, anything over 250, 300, the more the better, obviously. But they land bombs just fine being at 360 and 333. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory on the gear. I'll show you the gear in case you're curious, but you know, you're looking for accuracy, attack, and then Shazar and War Mother do need the crit chance to proc some of their abilities. It's probably a little bit more important on War Mother to make sure that she's at 100% crit rate, which is why I did, and she's at like 109 or something. And then, you know, the big takeaway is making sure you're using attack percent gloves to really scale those bombs, and you don't really need to worry about crit damage because they don't scale with crit damage. And then I recommend kind of getting the Eagle Eye you know, tier 6 mastery, so that you're really making sure you're extracting the value on landing those bombs as often as possible. So then you can see here, so yeah, a flat attack, and it's one of the rare times a flat attack amulet can actually be pretty good, because we don't need, typically damage dealers need crit damage amulets or want crit damage amulets, but we're just looking to get those bombs to scale as crazy as possible. So that's why a flat stat attack amulet with good accuracy can be a pretty good choice there. And then you're getting as much accuracy, speed, and in this case crit rate, because they need it. But yeah, see, you can see I wasn't able to get the Shazar has better gear, so with crit rate being more crucial because of the detonation option for War Mother, I actually did have to go with crit rate gloves because I didn't have as much crit rate on the substats for her gear compared to Shazar. But yeah, that's going to kind of do it for this video. I wanted to show the bomb squad in action. I did finally build it, invest in it, get the masteries, spent some books on the Roshard to get his cooldown for the zone of protection, and some books on the Shazar to get the 100% place rate on the bombs. So yeah, it'll be fun to kind of tinker around with and have it available to me in terms of, you know, pulling out the bomb squad and, you know, ramping through Gold 4 Arena can be kind of fun. So I'm glad I built it. In final here, do I think it's worth for like a mid-game player in terms of like account progression to develop the bombs? Gosh, I guess not really. It's more of like if you have insane gear and you can get the high attack and the crit rate and the high accuracy. It's tough to kind of gear, and it's tough to get the consistent performance value, especially on auto. So I think it's more of like a fun thing to do that has potential to be really strong. But in terms of general utility on, you know, early to mid-game account progression, probably not the most useful in terms of like my final conclusion synopsis after kind of investing in it and playing it. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys had fun kind of seeing the bomb squad finally get showcased and built, and finally investing in and making a video about the first legendary I ever summoned in Raid, which was War Mother. So yeah, as always, have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Peace.